Picture this. You own a restaurant on the Las Vegas Strip. You've invested millions in your business, hired hundreds of employees, and suddenly someone shows up at your door with a letter. Not just any letter, a demand. Pay us $1.5 million or we'll make sure you can't see the biggest sporting event coming to your city. Oh, and if you still refuse, we might just aim stadium-grade floodlights directly at your windows to blind anyone trying to watch. Sound like the mob? Think again. This was Formula One. Welcome to the most unbelievable shakedown in sports history, where the world's most prestigious racing series allegedly turned Sin City into their personal ATM, one threatening letter at a time. Act 1, the setup. To understand how we got here, we need to go back to 2017. That's when Liberty Media, an American media conglomerate owned by billionaire John Malone, bought Formula One for a staggering $8 billion. But they didn't just buy a racing series, they bought a money printing machine, and they were about to turn the printing press up to 11. Liberty already had two American races, Austin and Miami, but they wanted the ultimate prize, Las Vegas. Not just any Vegas race, but a spectacle that would make Monaco look like a neighborhood block party. Enter Renee Wilm, Liberty Media's chief legal and administrative officer. A former Wall Street lawyer who specialized in mergers and acquisitions, Wilm was tasked with something unprecedented: shutting down the Las Vegas Strip and turning it into a racetrack. But more importantly, she was about to mastermind what some would call the most audacious money grab in modern sports. Here's what makes the Las Vegas Grand Prix different from every other F1 race. Liberty Media wasn't just buying the rights to hold an event, they were self-promoting it. That means they control everything: the tickets, the sponsorships, the hospitality, and as we'd soon discover, who gets to see the race and who doesn't. For 9 months, they transformed the Strip. They built a $500 million paddock facility, repaved roads, installed 1,600 custom floodlights, and constructed temporary bridges. The message was clear. This wasn't just an F1 race, this was a complete takeover. But here's where the story gets interesting and deeply disturbing. Act 2, the letters. Sometime in July 2023, just months before the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix, business owners along the Strip started receiving letters. Not congratulations, not invitations, demands. The math was simple and brutal. $1,500 multiplied by your venue's fire code capacity. Have a restaurant that seats 1,000 people? That'll be $1.5 million, please. Have a club with a capacity of 1,500? That's $2.25 million. And this wasn't a one-time fee. This was just for 3 days of racing. According to the New York Post, one anonymous casino owner said, and I quote, "They are literally shaking people down, saying they will obstruct views unless they pay them. It seems insane that they're asking money for a public event that is taking place on the streets." But here's where it gets even more sinister. The letters didn't just threaten to block views with barriers or advertising signs. According to reports, representatives working for Renee Wilm allegedly said floodlights could be aimed at unlicensed areas to blind onlookers. Let that sink in for a moment. We're talking about using industrial-grade lighting, the kind designed to illuminate a racetrack visible from space, as a weapon against businesses that refuse to pay protection money. To put this in perspective, F1 installed 1,600 specialized floodlights for the Las Vegas race. These lights are 4 times brighter than regular stadium lighting and are designed to meet television broadcasting standards. Imagine having that kind of illumination pointed directly at your restaurant's window or outdoor seating area. Now you might be thinking, well, these are big casinos and fancy restaurants, they can afford it. But that misses the point entirely. This wasn't a negotiation between equals. This was extortion, pure and simple. Think about it this way. Imagine if the Super Bowl came to your city, and instead of celebrating the economic boost, the NFL showed up at every bar and restaurant and said, hey, pay us millions or we'll make sure your customers can't see the game. That's essentially what happened in Las Vegas. Act 3, the comparison. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Other F1 races happen on street circuits too. Monaco, Singapore, Baku, they all use public roads. So how do they handle businesses with views of the track? In Monaco, hotels and restaurants with track views charge premium prices during Grand Prix weekend. It's a celebration. The Hotel Hermitage, the Fairmont Monte Carlo, even private yacht owners in the harbor, they all benefit from the race. Nobody's getting threatening letters. Nobody's being asked to pay protection money to the FIA or Formula One. Same story in Singapore. Restaurants along the Marina Bay circuit throw F1 viewing parties. They create special menus, host events, and enjoy the biggest weekend of their year. The race organizers work with local businesses, not against them. But Vegas? Vegas was different. Instead of a partnership, there was intimidation. Instead of collaboration, there was coercion. Here's a quote from another Vegas executive reported by multiple sources. "There's a certain line they are crossing by telling someone who has spent billions on the property that you are shutting the strip down for construction and then asking them to pay for seats." And let's be clear about who we're talking about here. Liberty Media were projecting $500 million in revenue from the three-day event. This wasn't a struggling startup trying to make ends meet. This was a $21 billion sports empire trying to squeeze every last dollar out of Las Vegas. Act 4, the resistance and fallout. Not everyone rolled over. Several businesses fought back, and the results tell a story of their own. Ellis Island Hotel and Casino filed a lawsuit. Jay's Market owner, Waitzman, claimed over $3.5 million in lost revenue. Ferraro's restaurant sued for more than $50,000 in damages from lost business. Jimmy Singh, who owns a gift shop on Cobalt Lane, which became part of the actual racetrack, told reporters he lost between $200,000 and $300,000. "The county hasn't sat down with us. Nobody seems to care," said Bone from Jay's Market. Randy Markin, owner of Batista's Hole in the Wall, saw his nightly dinner count drop from 550 to 450, with only 100 reservations for the entire race weekend. His quote is particularly telling. "I understand, as small businesses, we might need to take it in the shorts a bit if it's better for Las Vegas as a whole, but I would have liked for the F1 people to at least come by and say, 'We're sorry this is impacting you so much.'" But the extortion scheme was just part of a larger pattern of disregard for local businesses and workers. For 9 months, F1's construction effectively held the strip hostage. Commute times tripled for casino workers. Restaurants saw foot traffic plummet. Small businesses that had survived the pandemic found themselves facing a new existential threat. Finally, in November 2023, Liberty Media CEO Greg Maffei issued what could generously be called an apology. "I want to apologize to all the Las Vegas residents, and we appreciate that they have their forbearance and their willingness to tolerate us." Forbearance? Willingness to tolerate? This wasn't a polite inconvenience, this was economic warfare. Act 5, the bigger picture. So why did Formula One think they could get away with this? The answer lies in the fundamental transformation of the sport under Liberty Media's ownership. Under the previous owner, Bernie Ecclestone, F1 was certainly money-focused, but it operated differently. Local promoters typically organized races. There was some degree of partnership with the host cities, but Liberty Media changed all that. They turned F1 into a content creation machine. Netflix's Drive to Survive brought millions of new American fans to the sport. Suddenly, F1 wasn't just about racing, it was about spectacle, celebrity, and most importantly, maximum revenue extraction. Las Vegas represented the ultimate test of this new philosophy. Could they create an event so exclusive, so expensive, that even watching it became a luxury good? Could they literally control who gets to see a race happening on public roads? The answer apparently was yes, but at a cost. Ticket prices started at $500 for general admission and went up to $15,000 for premium packages. 3-day grandstand packages reached $2,000 to $2,500. Even the cheapest options were beyond the reach of most locals. The result? According to Liberty Media's own executives, the fall-off from the first year to the second year was a bit more dramatic than anticipated. Translation? People stopped coming. Act 6. What this really means. Here's what makes the Vegas F1 situation so troubling. It sets a precedent. If Formula One can extort businesses for having a view of the race on public roads, what's to stop other major sporting events from doing the same? Imagine if the Olympics came to your city and demanded that every hotel with a view of the opening ceremony pay millions or have their views blocked. Imagine if the World Cup required restaurants near the stadium to pay tribute or face having floodlights aimed at their windows. This isn't just about business, it's about the fundamental question of who owns public space. The Las Vegas Grand Prix takes place on public roads with significant public investment. Clark County was asked to contribute $40 million in public funding for paving operations, yet somehow the right to see this publicly funded event became a private commodity that Liberty Media could sell or weaponize. Act 7, the current state. So where do things stand now? Well, F1 just extended their Las Vegas contract through 2027. The race is here to stay at least for the next few years. Renee Wilm has been moved to a different role within Liberty Media, and Emily Prazer has been promoted to Las Vegas Grand Prix president. The organization claims they're trying to be a better member of the community, but the fundamental business model hasn't changed. Tickets are still astronomically expensive. The viewing fee structure for business hasn't been definitively clarified, though the lack of additional lawsuits suggests either businesses paid up or found other ways to avoid the issue. Meanwhile, several lawsuits from affected businesses are still working their way through the courts. The full extent of the economic damage may never be known, but conservative estimates put it in the tens of millions of dollars. Conclusion: the precedent. The 2023 Las Vegas Grand Prix was undeniably spectacular from a visual standpoint. F1 cars racing down the neon-lit strip at 218 miles per hour was unlike anything the sport had ever seen. But the cost of that spectacle went far beyond the $500 million Liberty Media invested. It came at the cost of small business owners who were told to pay protection money or have their views blocked. It came at the cost of workers whose lives were disrupted for nearly a year. It came at the cost of a community that was essentially held hostage by a sporting event. Most troubling, it established a precedent that major sporting organizations can effectively extort local businesses with impunity. The message was clear: we're big enough, rich enough, and powerful enough to do whatever we want, and if you don't like it, we'll literally shine lights in your eyes until you comply. If F1 continues to expand with races planned for Madrid and other street circuits around the world, the Las Vegas model could become the template. Pay up or be shut out, comply or be blinded. In the end, the Las Vegas Grand Prix taught us something important about modern sports businesses. When organizations become too big and too powerful, the line between legitimate business and legalized extortion can become dangerously thin. The question isn't whether F1 had the legal right to do what they did. They probably did. The question is whether having the right to do something makes it right to do. And in the end, that's a bet nobody should have to make.